sit here and say questions.
Yeah.
But today I'm going to say, absolutely, we have to work on our foul shooting. And may do that tonight. Questions?
Tonight, you mean those are your wins you get back to it? Seriously?
Seriously.
Defensively, 25 turnovers. Pretty pleased with that end of the equation.
Yeah, I thought our defense was very good. I thought our defense was very good today. I don't know whether you guys remember, but I watched our game against them and broke it down, probably 10 different times in the last couple of days. And that game up there last year, we couldn't stop them and we couldn't score. But I thought our guys today really executed, particularly at the defensive end. I thought the effort was there, the communication was there. I thought we were very good against what I think is a very good offensive team today.
When did the foul shooting did you feel like it was a problem throughout the game? Because you guys had such a quick start that the margin seemed to be there.
Just look at 18 for 32. I don't know when those came, but they came.
It felt like early on, a couple different stretches we got pulled away, but like Nate had with some assists and rebounding at the block really sort of helped set the tone early on for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, Nate's been very good last 3, 4, 5 games. I'm not sure what the exact number is and the exact stretch is. But I thought we did a pretty good job when we got it down to him and figuring out what to do out of that. We had a stretch where we had like 2 or 3 turnovers in a row. We were trying to force stuff, but then we settled down, and we just wanted to get it inside and rotating. And, they went back and forth between their matchup and then the straight man. And I thought for the most part offensively, our guys did a good job of just moving. We weren't as stagnant as we were probably the other day against Louisville. We weren't. There was more motion, more movement. So
Sorry. It was 50-some fouls called in that game. It was tough to sort of coach any sort of flow.
No. I think, I'm not sure, but it felt like, part of their plan was to try to be aggressive and be physical, and so 50 fouls were called. Probably could have been more.
Your decision to go to John in the first half when they had made a run, was that a response to some of the shot selection by your team, or your sense that John could bring something good at that moment, or something, of that?
No, it's
okay.
just, I probably should have been playing Cap more. He with their defense, and I think they're a good defensive team, but you have to make decisions. They play their zone, and you're not really sure what's coming. And, just in terms of understanding how to play basketball, Cap's probably one of our better guys. As you see tonight, he's one of our better rebounders. And so that was not a fluke, I don't think. And so I thought we needed him in there to get better flow.
Thank you.
Taste of things to come. You're going to get the Cap win.
We shall see.
Did you see some frustration from Teague, foul trouble? He could never really get on track.
Yeah, he started actually the latter part of the first half. I think he had 2, maybe 3 baskets in a row, and he was trying to get going there. I thought our guys, our post players, did a pretty good job of making it hard for him to catch the ball. He's tough when he gets it. I said this to you guys at Media Day the other day. I mean, I think he's one of the better offensive post players in our league. And so we wanted to make it hard for him to get the ball. And then, as I said the other day also, they do a very good job. They put 4 shooters out there. And so if you crowd him too much, they snap it back out. I thought our guys did a good job of crowding him when he got it, but then closing out hard, which you have to do against him. Or they just start bombing.
John, was there something in looking at Seton Hall before this game that you think you'd be able to turn them over 25 times?
No, I think that just happened. I wanted to stay in our press, probably a little longer than we had the last couple of games. I didn't want to do that. I can't sit here and say I looked at the tape and say, oh, we're going to turn them over like that. But our guys did a good job of making that happen.
To go back to Nate a little bit, I mean, you talked about him last game getting quality quality numbers instead of quantity. Can you just talk sort of about the complete game that he kind of gives you with his ability to pass and ability to play defense, take charges as well?
That's presumptuous that I'm gonna say Nate has a complete game. You know I like busting your chops.
Sure.
I mean, Nate's a junior, and he understands what we're trying to do. He understands where he should be and where the other four guys on the court should be also, and he understands what we're trying to get out, what we're trying to accomplish. And so, and that's a responsibility he has. He got some guys in that locker room where Nate's got to make sure they are where they should be. And so I think he's done a pretty good job with that. But he's playing well right now. He's playing very, very well.
When you put Cap in, obviously it's a change in the rotation you've been having. Was that something, when you're standing there coaching the game, you decide, okay, let's try this? Or was it when you were preparing for this game, scouting for this game, did you say, oh, okay, Cap might fit?
No, that was not predetermined.
No,
That was just the way that game, the way it was going. I thought we needed him in there.
Questions for the players?
Nate and Otto, what Coach was saying yesterday, and I think both you guys said it, about the fact that, you know, the big guy is pretty efficient, you know, feeding and getting it out to the perimeter people. You guys were really worried about that, but you did a good job defensively tonight. What was the key to that?
Yeah, as Coach said, you know, with a talented post player like that who's so big, it's tough to guard him when they surround him with so many shooters. So, you know, I think we did a good job of, you know, staying focused on, you know, him when he got the ball, but also, you know, closing out really hard on the shooters and making them drive.
I mean, like Nate said, you know, he did a good job, you know, clogging it up for him, you know, making it hard for him to kick it out to the open shooter. You know, we got our hands up, you know, flashing him a couple, stripped him a couple times, you know, things like that.
Could you sense a little frustration on his part?
A little bit, you know, that's what we wanted to do, you know, try to make it frustrating for him, you know, around the basket.
John,
Nate-
what?
No. For Nate. Yeah, after you guys were up by 20, you all kept defending just as hard, it seemed like, if not harder, and that wasn't always the case earlier in the season. Is that now just instinctive, this team is going to do that, or did you guys kind of have to keep reminding and talking about that?
I mean, we hope we keep doing that. Yeah, you know, earlier in the season, we got some big leads that we blew because we stopped defending, and you know, I think as long as we remain consistent with our defense, you know, our offense will be totally fine. You know, this team, our offense comes from our defense, and you know, that's the way it has to be for 40 minutes every game.
Thank you.
So John, you're on the bench. Were you expecting this at all?
No, definitely not. I mean, coaches always tell me to be ready whenever to go in and contribute, so that's what I try to do today.
How do you think you did?
I mean, I hope I did pretty well. I don't speak for myself, but
Nate, we talked yesterday about this was your worst loss last year at Seton Hall. You really wanted to come back and have a good effort today. Can you just talk about that effort? And you handed them their worst loss of the season so far.
Yeah, you know, I haven't Cap and myself, we haven't beat Seton Hall. We lost my freshman year, so you know, this game was pretty important to me. And you know, we came out to a really hot start, and you know, we turned them over. We were able to stay in our press and you know, really get into them on defense, and you know, it was a good win.
And Nate, what did you think of John's performance in particular, that one rebound and putback that we had?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Cap was unbelievable today. I think he you know, he stepped up, and you know, we have a lot of guys on this team who are ready to step up and who have stepped up, and you know, we're expecting them to continue to do that.
Otto, can you talk a little bit about some of the plays that Nate had tonight? He charged out for the block on the 3-pointer. A couple of those passes, you guys what's your sense of how well Nate's playing right now?
I mean, he's playing terrific right now, you know, making reads on the defender, making great passes. Also rebounding, you know, he's doing a very good job, you know, getting key rebounds, so we can start to break. I mean, he's doing everything right now, taking charges, you know, things like that.
Yeah. Can you just talk about that? It seemed like you were pretty charged up, and I think you still got the put back, I guess, after you blocked the three-pointer, that little three-point attempt, but talk about getting the team going early.
Yeah, you know, as I said, we came out to a great start, and you know, we did everything right at the beginning of the game. You know, we were offensive rebounding, we were getting out in transition. We knocked down a couple shots, but as I said earlier, you know, I don't think Coach expected us to our pressure in terms of the full court press to work that well, but we were able to stay in it and you know, kept that momentum going.
John, you're a Jersey guy. What was it like to have this game against the Seton Hall? That was my Seton Hall prep. Was it anything special to be able to do it against?
Yeah, I mean, I remember last year pretty vividly losing there, and I had a bunch of family members there, and they were kind of bragging on me about it. And actually, one of the managers on their team was my manager in high school, so he was kind of getting into me on Facebook about it. So yeah, it was good to do.
John, this is the second game in a row where you've had not the usual suspect of like a player who's not in the normal rotation in the podium up here with you. Is that indicative of the sort of widespread contributions you're going to need to get through the end of the season?
No, I just got tired of what the usual suspect was saying. Someone else a chance to say something else. You know, we've said, and Nate expressed it as well as I can. You know, we have different guys as a team, from me as the coach to them as players, that understand that you may be called. When you are, our guys work pretty hard in practice, and hopefully you're ready to answer the call. And so, you know, we had a AB up here last time with a big game, and Cap had a pretty good game today.
Any more questions? Thank you.